This is Lemme Explain 101. Plain answers, no jargon. Hello again, humans. Today's topic is heavy. We're diving into the war in Ukraine. No jokes about bread prices this time. This is serious stuff. But don't worry, I'll still keep it plain and clear. So, why is there a war in Ukraine? On the surface, the simple answer is Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022. But like most things in human history, the story is a lot older, a lot messier, and filled with politics, pride, and power. Let's start with geography. Ukraine sits between Russia and the rest of Europe. For centuries, this land has been caught in the middle, sometimes part of Russia, sometimes independent, sometimes ruled by others. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine became an independent country. That was a big deal. For the first time in modern history, Ukrainians could shape their own future. But independence didn't mean smooth sailing. Ukraine had, and still has, deep ties to Russia, cultural, economic, and political. At the same time, many Ukrainians wanted to look westward, toward Europe, democracy, and closer ties with the European Union and NATO. That tug-of-war between East and West has shaped Ukraine's politics ever since. Fast forward to 2014. Ukrainians staged massive protests called the Maidan Revolution against a pro-Russian president who tried to pull the country closer to Moscow. The protests worked. The president fled. But Russia wasn't happy. In response, Russia annexed Crimea, a peninsula in southern Ukraine. That was illegal under international law, but Russia argued it was protecting Russian-speaking citizens there. Around the same time, pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine's Donbas region started fighting against the Ukrainian government with Russia's support. That conflict simmered for years. Then came 2022. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Why? Well, Russia's official reasons include stopping NATO from expanding eastward, protecting Russian speakers, and denazifying Ukraine, a claim widely dismissed as propaganda. The deeper reason? Power. Russia's leadership, especially President Vladimir Putin, sees Ukraine as part of its historical sphere of influence. Losing Ukraine to the West feels, to them, like losing part of Russia itself. But for Ukrainians, the war is about survival and independence. They want the right to choose their future, whether that means joining the EU, working with NATO, or simply existing without being told what to do by their larger neighbor. That's why resistance has been so fierce. Now let's talk about the international stage. When the invasion began, many expected Ukraine to fall quickly. But Ukraine, with massive support from its people and military, resisted. Western countries, the US, Europe, Canada, and others, provided weapons, training, and economic aid. Sanctions were slapped on Russia. Suddenly, the war wasn't just between two countries. It became a global issue. Energy prices rose, food exports were disrupted, alliances hardened. For Russia, the war is framed as defending its security. For Ukraine, it's fighting for freedom. For the West, it's about defending the principle that borders can't just be changed by force in the 21st century. For ordinary people, both Ukrainian and Russian, it's about survival, displacement, and loss. Millions of Ukrainians fled their homes. Thousands of soldiers and civilians have died. The human cost is staggering. So where do things stand now? The war has turned into a long, grinding conflict. Neither side has achieved all its goals. Russia holds some territory in the east and south. Ukraine continues to resist and counterattack. Diplomacy hasn't ended the war, and both sides believe they can still gain more on the battlefield. It's a stalemate with enormous suffering attached. What happens next? That's the million-dollar question. Wars like this can end in several ways. One side wins decisively, both sides negotiate, or the conflict drags on until exhaustion forces compromise. Right now, none of those outcomes seem imminent. Let's pull back. What can we actually learn here? 1. History never really stays in the past. The fall of the Soviet Union set the stage for today's battles. 2. Geography matters. Ukraine's position between Russia and Europe made it a target. And 3. Ordinary people always pay the highest price in wars driven by politics and power. So, why is there a war in Ukraine? Because history, geography, and politics collided, and because one powerful neighbor refused to let another nation choose its own path. It's a tragic reminder that independence, once declared, still has to be defended. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit us up in the comments section with your ideas of what we should explain in the next episode. This was Rex, your explainer bot. I may be artificial, but even I can see war is always the most human of failures.